Sunny ways, my friends. Sunny ways.
Your 16 seconds are up. I'm going to ask you again because nobody believes you when you say you don't know how much money your family has got from the wheat group. You've had a month to look into that. You knew you were going to testify here. Again, how much money total have your brother, mother, and spouse received from this organization? How much?
That information has been publicly shared. I will highlight.
Well, then tell me what it is.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
We have recently switched to drinking water bottles out of water out of when we have water bottles out of plastic. Away from plastic towards paper, like drink box water bottles, sort of thing. Sorry.
The servicing costs on the debt that you're going to have to carry that you're adding to now, right?
Interest rates are at historic lows, Glenn.
Where's the funds?
On the topic, I mean, in terms of your sort of strategy currently, you're obviously taking the populist pathway.
What does that mean? Oh, Justin, you're awake. You made it. Have a seat. Have a coffee. You need some. Wakey time.
Let's cut that Disney Plus subscription. So we cut it. It's only $13.99 a month that we're saving, but every little bit helps.
A lot of people would say that you're simply taking a page out of the Donald Trump book.
Like which people would say that?
Well, I'm sure a great many Canadians, but...
Like who?
I don't know who, but...
Well, you're the one who asked the question, so
yeah.
You must know somebody. Yeah, that's all that's coming off. There's nothing else coming off, yeah. I'm not Justin Trudeau here. Let's fucking go!
Let's fucking go.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. Welcome to, I guess, a special Fringe chill and chat here on the stream. I'm going to have to come up with a title for this live stream because we've started doing them on the regular. If you guys don't know what this is, the chill and chats kind of get to know the Fringe. We're going to sit around. We're going to talk politics. And, well, this is my time to relax. This is my time to hang out. And it's different from my usual weekly streams, but usually I kick back and show you guys some of my hobbies. I play some retro video games, and we just kind of chill and chat. We hang out, we get to know each other, and you guys can essentially ask me anything you want to ask me. So since I'm going out of town this weekend and Friday Night Fringe is canceled, I figured, hey, let's do a fun little hangout stream tonight. And then tomorrow night, I will be doing my regular Friday Night Fringe style stream with Mrs. Fringe, hopefully sitting in on the stream. And I say hopefully because we got a lot to get sorted before we head off to Spruce Grove, Alberta to look at homes. Now, I've talked about that move quite a few times on the channel, and things kind of got rolling because the bank said, hey, let's just do a good old-fashioned pre-approval, and you've got 120 days to think about things. And well, they did the pre-approval and told us we've only got 90. And unfortunately, it's a stupidly crazy seller's market in Calgary right now. It's a seller's market up in Spruce Grove. So we're really trying to kind of get things moving as fast as we can. And it's just kind of snowballed from out there. Jimmy, did you get any hail damage? Actually, in the south end of Calgary where I am, we didn't even see any hail. It was just the north end of town. But thank you for asking. Let's jump in right away because I did see something. Rick Robitaille jumped in early with a $10 super chat. Why, my goodness. Thank you so much, Rick. I appreciate that. People were asking earlier, I seen Luca in here asking if my wife and I were still homeowners. I can't find here we are. Hello, fellow patriots. Derek and Tiffany, are you guys homeowners again? Well, we're still homeowners. We're just upgrading. We're upgrading and paying less. That's the idea. Because, of course, Calgary right now, again, the market has just gone insane. We have to re-sign our mortgage next year. So we started talking about, hey, you know what? We're not really living beyond our means, but why are we going to pay more? The interest rate we signed our house on 5 years ago was much, much lower than the interest rate today. And currently, our budgets are stretched on today's way of living. When you factor in carbon tax, when you factor in all the hidden costs that come with home ownership, we started saying, why are we living like this if we don't have to? Now, my wife has always said, I want smaller town vibes. I want away from the big cities. And even though Spruce Grove is only about a 15 to 20-minute drive into Edmonton, we're looking at Spruce Grove, St. Albert, Sherwood Park, Stony Plain. We're kind of looking all around that area because, again, the biggest catch was that you can get a much larger home for a fraction of the price and what you are in Calgary. In fact, my wife and I have owned our house for almost 10 years in Calgary. It'll be 10 years next August. And we're priced out of Calgary. We even paying down our mortgage and gaining at almost double the equity on our home than what we paid for the house. We're still priced out of living in Calgary if we want to get a larger home. It's just impossible for us to do it. So I don't know how the younger generation's doing it. I don't know how anybody who wants to be first-time homeowners are doing it. Again, my wife and I jumped into home ownership for the first time in 2015, just as Justin Trudeau was taking office. In fact, we moved in late August of 2015, and Justin Trudeau, I believe, was in October of that year. And of course, we knew the writing was on the wall. We knew things were going to get tough, if anything was to be said. And now we're simply saying, well, let's save where we can so that we have a little bit more money for kids to do extracurricular activities, for saving, for maybe getting some investments going on. We're very fortunate that we're in that position because a lot of people these days aren't. It's just a matter of saying we don't need to downsize. We're actually upsizing, but we're doing it at an affordable level. Now, I've been in Calgary for almost 30 years. And I love this city, I really do. But with the crime that's getting out of control, with the cost of living that's getting out of control, it's just impossible. We looked at smaller towns around Calgary. We've got friends and family around the Okotoks region, which is just south of Calgary. Even there, we're slightly priced out of living there. It's just not possible. Andy chiming in, my monthly property tax is now higher than my mortgage payment when I bought this place. That's insane. And that's one of the things that I couldn't get. Now, Calgary still has one of the lowest property taxes in the province. I believe, like, we pay for our home. Our home is currently valued just under $700,000, and we pay just over $2,600 a year in property taxes, which really isn't that much. It's about $230, $240 a month we pay over a monthly installment program for the city. But then when we started looking even at Spruce Grove, like, the average house is about $4,000 a month. The St. Albert, which is one of the most highest cities or towns for property taxes in the province, sits at just over $5,000 or $6,000 depending on the cost of the house that you buy. Again, buying a house at about $550,000 to $600,000, you're looking at 10% going to property taxes. It's massive. I can't get over how anybody is making ends meet. Now, I've been told that places like St. Albert, you get what you pay for with your property taxes. They're constantly doing roadworks. The roads are in good shape. There's no potholes. Their services are well looked after. So again, if you're paying for services you're actually getting, I'm good with that. The problem with Calgary, you pay your property taxes and you can't even use water. You're not allowed to use water. In fact, new restrictions came to Calgary today, which I'll be talking about in a further video. Let me see if I can get caught up with everybody here. Ingrid coming in. It's Ingrid and Charlie from Alberta, Canada. We enjoy your show every day and your channel. I appreciate that, Ingrid. Thank you so much for you and Charlie for coming in. It's great to see you. Michelle saying ice cream at the stand is $6 for a single, 10 double, $7 for milkshakes or floats. That's crazy. And ice cream used to be, like, when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, mom and dad would always say, let's jump in the car and go to Dairy Queen for ice cream. Going for ice cream was like a thing, right? A Sunday night, let's get in the car, go out during the summer, have a nice evening with the family. The last time we went out for ice cream with the kids, we went to a place called the Marble Slab in Calgary. And I know that's typically a more expensive place, but I like that you can mix things into the ice cream. It's in our neighborhood. It's close by. And we ended up paying $50 for the 5 of us to get ice cream. It was just insane. And there was nothing special about it. It was just a standard cone, 1 scoop with a mix in, $50 for the family of 5 to get ice cream. It was crazy. It was still crazy. Trudeau never had support. Prime Minister, 30% is no business anywhere. near the halls of power, voting on confidence now, Jagmeet. I agree. I wanted to get into a little bit of why Trudeau's losing his grip on reality and why things are changing. His own caucus is starting to turn against him. Now, Mark Holland was very vocal. Not that his words mean anything, but he's been very vocal against Justin Trudeau. In fact, very vocal against the Liberal government in particular. Again, I'll be covering a video on that. But when your own ministers are turning against you, when Chrystia Freeland's holding backyard meetings for caucuses and Trudeau's out on a beach in Tofino wearing Canada Pride shirts, I mean, the writing's on the wall. Everybody's fed up with them. It's Reg jumping in. You'll see how nice that the communities of Spruce Grove and Stony Play are. A sense of community like it used to be. You know, Reg, that's the one thing my wife is looking forward to, is just saying that, you know, the kids can grow up somewhere where when the lights come on, kids are out playing, you know, having a good time. They're safe. You know, I understand there's nowhere you can live where there's no crime. But in Calgary, you know, even if my kids are playing on the driveway, I'm scared to let them go out there unsupervised because you never know who's walking by. We live close to an LRT station, so you never know who's coming up, who's going to talk to the kids, who's going to drive by or do something. It's, and I'm not saying again those things don't exist in small towns. It's all good. Great Britain, we love you. Sorry to digress here, says Rick. Don't worry about it. No, it's all good. No, what's going on in the UK is insane. If you guys saw the video the other day, which YouTube drastically pushed down, they did not want that video getting out. They're trying to suppress. In fact, there's articles showing that the Liberal government is actively suppressing stories about what's happening in the UK right now. It's crazy because they don't want anybody seeing what's going on and, you know, being like me and saying, hey, see, this is what mass immigration does. Here we go. Kelly saying Spruce Grove is nice, but the drive into Edmonton sucks in the winter. I've heard, you know, lucky for me, my commute simply is by going upstairs into the basement. My wife, on the other hand, yes, she'll probably have to commute into Edmonton. It's it's great. Did you see the British ice cream rant? Yes, I did. It was great. Absolutely crazy. Billy Mustang chiming in, buy my house in Nova Scotia, please, Derek. 3 acres, huge Victorian house, not really any crime, market is dead. If I could move to Nova Scotia, absolutely I would. It's you know, we talked at one point about moving back out in Manitoba near my family and friends. I grew up in Winnipeg as a kid. I still have many friends out in Manitoba, but even then my wife said she's too far away from her mom. We're too far away from family. We love Alberta. You know, we're not fleeing Alberta. We're simply looking at our current home. Now, again, I don't like getting into a bunch of personal stuff on stream, but you know, we bought this house that we live in right now again in 2015. We only had one kid. And at that time, it was a very good house for us. It was a good starter family home, but we've had 2 more children since then. And boy, the house, as they get older, my daughter's, you know, turning 10 years old next week. She's getting into her preteen stage. Her needs are going to change. Her wants for privacy are going to change. My 2 sons are sharing a bedroom. You know, we started saying, yeah, it's getting a little tight for us. Why are we going to pay a couple hundred more a month for our mortgage next year just to stay here? Why would we do that when we can have so much more elsewhere for so much less? Nearly $250,000 less. It's crazy. So that's the reason why we're moving. It's not a matter of cost. It's just a matter of what makes sense and best bang for the buck if we want to stay in Alberta. Love Spruce Grove, Grant Fear Nation of Alberta. There you go. It's funny because my realtor out in Spruce Grove, I actually found her through YouTube, and she knew who I was when I contacted her. And unfortunately, even though she has a YouTube channel, she was too busy to take on my wife and I as a client. So she passed me on to her partner, and she's doing a fantastic job. I'm looking forward to it. In fact, they put me in touch with a Calgary realtor who also runs a very prominent YouTube channel in the Calgary housing market. So I may have to talk to them about maybe reducing their commissions for a sponsored ad or something like that. I don't know. We'll see where we can save a little. Prime Minister Callan of Canada says 60 years ago, a soldier told Liberals that we could not have taken on Russia. Now they are in pain. Now they're a pain in the butt. Gas prices are very expensive, even food and our house prices. Yeah. But that's one man who's caused that. Like, don't get me wrong. Stephen Harper did some questionable things. Brian Mulrooney did some questionable things. Jean Chrétien did some questionable things. But none of them have screwed this country on the levels that Justin Trudeau has. They just haven't. There's a lot to talk about in tomorrow night's live stream. Again, ladies and gents, if you're stumbling in a little late to the stream, Friday Night Fringe is canceled. Again, as I keep talking about houses, we're going up to Spruce Grove to look at a new home. So tomorrow night, regular time, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central here on the channel. We will be doing Thursday, Friday Night Fringe, and then we will return to Fridays. Things might get a little hectic because as this, I guess, Herculean task of quickly selling our home continues. There may have to be interruptions on schedules. At some point, I may have to take down some of this studio. My filming location may have to change before we sell the house. Many things could change, but rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, I will still be bringing content regularly to this channel. You guys will still be getting all the videos as much as possible. And once the move is done, things can return to the new normal, I guess, and hopefully a newer looking studio. I'd like to, I mean, if I can do the same kind of studio background with the arcades and everything, great. But I'd like to do something a little more professional looking at the same time while still keeping some of the nerd culture in there. We'll see how it goes. But bear with me. Just bear with me as that goes on. It's going to be a lot of fun. And speaking of fun, let's get into what I look forward to in these chillin' chats. Most of all, I'm going to stream some retro video games, some good old retro. Everybody seemed to have a great time with this last week. I'm going to start off with a puzzle game. If you guys remember the 7-Up spot back in the day, the little spot with the sunglasses from the 90s and 80s, I guess, technically, late 80s, early 90s. There's a puzzle game for the Nintendo called 7-Up Spot, and it's one of my favorites on the Nintendo. I'm going to get into that. And we'll talk politics now. Again, I'll look to the screen as much as possible. And my studio needs Street Fighter 2 and Final Fight. I do have a Street Fighter 2 arcade. In fact, Billy, my mom, the very first arcade I had was gifted to me was a Street Fighter 2 3/4 scale arcade. She gave me that shortly after she was diagnosed with her mesothelioma, because we used to walk to my neighborhood 7-Eleven when I was a kid, and I would always play Street Fighter 2. It was always the thing. So when my mom seen that, it was kind of like a remember me kind of gift. And that is one arcade that will never leave my arcade. It's Floody Boy coming in. Now, Floody, what's going on with Trudeau? We're just having a chill and chat. We're talking about everything that's going on. Nothing specific has happened. It's just a hangout stream, so it's nothing to get worked up about. But let's get into the gaming, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have some fun. 7-Up Spot, again, one of my favorites on the NES. Hopefully the audio is still turned down from the last time. I'll have to start it up and we'll have to check. But it is definitely a fun game to play. It's one that I enjoy. He's a failure as usual, nothing new. There you go. How's that game audio? Is it too loud for you guys? Why is it still paused? Why does it say paused? There we go. Trudeau Sr. and Trudeau Jr. have screwed Canada beyond belief. It's good, says Xylo. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to start off as the yellow team. Now, what happens in this game, and you'll notice, is that the blue and yellow spots tend to move. No Mega Man again, Luca? Not today. We're doing other games tonight. I'm just starting out. This is like a warm-up, but the idea of this is to fill the board with your color and get the most spaces to win. Kind of like an election, if we want to put it into politics. So playing as the yellow team, we want to get rid of all the blues or eliminate them. Now, as we get closer to the blues, if they're in our vicinity, we flip them over to yellow. You'll see here the blue team doing their bit. So it's all about planning in this game, but I do like this one. This one, I always liked games like this even as a kid, like games that required you to think a little bit. You don't get games like this today. They're all games that hold your hands and that kids want simplicity. This is Othello. Yeah, Weird Duck. It's kind of like Othello, a little, I guess you could say. Othello never really got my attention as a kid because it was too adult. This is good old NES and 7-Up brands. I mean, how do you go wrong with a mascot? Everything was mascotted in the 80s and 90s. Rick's saying we're going to win the election? I sure hope so. Pierre Poilievre had a really good interview last week, and I showcased that earlier this week, where he was talking a lot about the wacko policies of Justin Trudeau. Hang on a second here, we're in trouble. FJT times 1,000. Rose says I'm not a gamer. That's okay, Rose. Again, it's just a hangout. This is how I kick back, and it's kind of like it makes for a good fun hangout stream. It's just called Spot. The Aussie version was called Cool Spot. So they do have a Cool Spot game where it's more of a platformer. This was the puzzle version, I guess. The platformer version came out on the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. Weirdo Wacko. So have you guys noticed there's this huge thing going online where everybody's being called weird? I've seen it a lot where they're saying Pierre Poilievre is weird, Justin Trudeau is weird, this is weird, hashtag weird. Billy, don't feel too bad. I'm simply just... I'm so into retro gaming. I love giving those kind of facts. So I'm not correcting you or anything. It's just fun. WrestleMania for the NES, Xylo. I am not a fan of that game. It was so terrible. So terrible. Oh, what do I want to do here? I know we're gonna lose a space for this, but Mike Tyson's Punch Out. Yes, it is a classic. I love Punch Out. CB saying that's just weird. There you go. The phase is coming from the Democrats in the U.S. I've noticed that with Kamala Harris. Have you guys? I don't know how much you guys follow in the U.S. politics. I was hooked on Asteroids in the 80s. Asteroids was great. I always love that line in National Lampoon's Vacation where Rusty says to his cousin, "Do you have asteroids?" He says, "No, but my dad does. Something fierce, too." This looks like the game Chuzzle. It's a little. I've got one of those retro systems with 12,000 games. I play mostly Genesis, Super Nintendo, probably Streets of Rage 2. Those are all classics. I love those games. I gave up a vital space there, but I feel like it's worth it. Galaga's another good one, yep. That man's playing Galaga. Didn't think we'd notice, but we did. Let's go. Art, how you doing? Alberta manhunt taking place. I got an Amber Alert the other day for that, stating that somebody was on the loose. Where do they think he is, Jay? I haven't followed that too much. Do you have any information on that one? Maybe Trump will get our money back from the Ukraine? I highly doubt it, CB. If he's going to get anybody's money back, it's going to be theirs. Are they hunting for Menzoid? No. No. David Menzies is safe. Ooh, that was sneaky. Sneaky, sneaky. We're kicking the crap out of them on this round. The computer's usually pretty tough to beat on this, because if you make one misstep, they just completely obliterate you. Oh. So if you jump more than one space, you lose the tile. If you go one space diagonal or up and down, you don't lose any. I think the weird thing is very lame, but Weirdo is a good one. I do like that one. It was the same with Wacko. They did Wacko like that as well. Oh, look, we got this one in the bag. '64 Commodore. I used to have a Commodore 64 in my teens. I absolutely loved it. Menzoid on the loose wearing the huge boobs. That was hilarious. That was absolutely hilarious. I loved watching David Menzies do that. So that's 7-Up Spot. Let's play something a little more fun. That was a good little warm-up game to kind of have a good time with everybody. Let's hang on a second here. All right. This is my good old launch box setup where I have all my retro games stored. So not only do I have all my arcades behind me, but I've got just about every console I'd want, not only physically, but digitally as well, because, you know, why get out cartridges when you can just do it this way. I've got a fun game we're going to play, and it's one of my guilty pleasures on the Super Nintendo. It's called Pilot Wings. It's like a flying simulator type of game. So when I was 12 years old, the Super Nintendo first came out on the market, and a friend of mine, I've talked about him on the show before, his brother and sister were both managers of a video store, and they got access to the Super Nintendo before it actually was sold on the market for people. So what my friend did was, for his birthday that year, the Super Nintendo was released, I think, in late October. He got it in September because that was the preview for video stores to decide if they were going to get the units, if they were going to rent the games out. So for his birthday, he got to rent a Super Nintendo system with Super Mario World, this game, and Final Fight, all before they were even available on the market. So we all went to his place, and this game definitely brings back a lot of good memories because it was one of my favorites. It was one of the first Super Nintendo games I ever got the pleasure to play. So again, you get to simulate a lot of stuff. The Super Famicom, I guess technically in other regions it was called the Super Famicom, yes. I've kind of played this game enough that I can get through a lot of the stages without doing all the activities. That's not being a braggart or a flex, it's just that is a key sign as to how much I've actually played this game. It's definitely one of my go-tos when I just want to, you know, hang out and do nothing better. Mystical, welcome into the stream. It's great to have you here. Good to see you. All right. We're going down faster than Justin Trudeau's career, but that's okay. I think I know what I'm doing. There we go. It's definitely a flex, says Billy. That's okay. I'll take it. I'll take it. All right, we want to get right in the center here. Belly flop. There we go. 50 points. I'll take those bonus points. Look at the blast. That's the Genesis, my friend. Rick says I'm calling in sick tomorrow. There you go. I think that gets us through the first round. You're now certified. There, we didn't even have to fly the airplane. There we go. We will at some point. I'm not that good. All right, Shirley, let's go. I always loved getting to this round because it came with a rocket belt. And my buddy and I used to just mess around on here. We never completed it. We'd just fly around and break things and crash. Again, the minds of a 12 or 13-year-old. But when you went from the regular Nintendo to this, And again, there was no internet, so you couldn't see what any of this looked like before it was available. We just hooked it up to the TV and turned it on. Even though Nintendo Power showed, so much of it. Where's the last one? There it is. Nintendo Power showed some screenshots, but other than that, you didn't know anything about the gameplay. You didn't know anything about what you were getting into. It was just mind-blowing at the time to think like, wow, we've gone from Nintendo to this. And then when the Nintendo 64 came out after this, it was like, oh my god, this is as good as it's ever going to get. I mean, now we're in crazy territory now where things sometimes look almost realistic. There we go. I got to the top 1% in Zelda 3 and Super Metroid. Oh my goodness. Super Metroid's a good one, but that one just takes a lot of time. I mean, I've seen speedruns, and I think they take, about an hour and a half, 2 hours? Trudeau's a $3 fruit salad? Please, that's an insult to $3. We're going to jump on the PPs. Not Pierre, but the PPs. Oh, I don't know if we're going to make it to the 30. I kind of pulled back a little. Let's go 15. We're not getting the 30. The Gemini gaming console. Pitfall, Mousetrap, Donkey Kong, River Raid. Yes. The Atari Gemini was pretty cool. The cat saying it's fun to see you gaming and relax. I appreciate that because when we first started these streams, I didn't know how people were going to take them because it is a politics channel. But this is how we kick back, and this is fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy, getting it. I used to do this on Twitch 4 days a week before I got into writing, before I got into YouTube. So that was my time to play retro games. I don't really play retro games anymore, so it's always, because my kids are always wanting to play. In fact, they enjoy these games a lot more than current games for the most part. So it's always fun to, kick back and get in a little bit with you guys and, relive some of these because I haven't played them some of them in quite some time. Now this one I don't go for the moving target because it's just way too impossible. The CDI. So I have to admit I do have a Philips CDI and I do have the Zelda games and Hotel Mario for the CDI. The Zelda games are terrible, but I have played them all to completion. Arbor Mystics in Pickford. Is it true Dustin Trudeau left his life for Mark Hahn? No. Are you guys talking about Jasper's video today? I find it funny that, people blast me all the time when I put a pun and a title onto a video, and then people go, "Oh, this sounds a little extreme," or "This sounds like clickbait." And then Jasper, I love Jasper. He's a friend of the channel. He's a good buddy. But he puts out a video today saying that Justin Trudeau is now gay or something, and it's like, no, he's not. Come on. And then where's Joe Biden? Come on, man. The sound is hilarious. Do I think Mark Hahn's wife is really a woman or a man? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Became very proficient at Tetris while at work. Had to stop the onset for carpal. So it's funny when you say that. My mom, of course, in the 80s, everybody smoked. My mom was into smoking. She was at a point where she was smoking a couple packs a day, and she really wanted to quit. In fact, she tried cold turkey. She tried nicotine gum. She tried all sorts of different methods to quit smoking. Couldn't do it. And then one day got addicted to Tetris when I got a Game Boy in the late 90s, and she quit. She just quit. I actually wrote a letter to Nintendo as a kid and said, your product made my mom quit smoking. And I remember getting a letter back with them saying how cool it was. And it was amazing. I was trying to get it featured in a edition of Nintendo Power magazine, but instead just got a letter from them saying how neat that was. And thanks for the letter. But I mean, nonetheless, it was cool to know that they read it. We'll go for this tower next. Everyone's full of crap, including the beaches. It's funny that they've had to actually... So first they were saying the crap on the beaches didn't exist. And then that they did get some reports, and now you've got Doug Ford coming out saying, stop pooping on the beaches. Like, I don't get why they, in the name of racism, they always have to say, oh, this doesn't happen, it doesn't exist. Just come out and say it is a problem, we're going to handle it. Just handle it. Don't worry about everybody calling you a racist. Yes, Mystical, that's very true. Are they humans or dogs? Well, they behave like animals. I mean, how do you, like, here's the thing. If I'm lactose intolerant. If I ate some cheese on the beach and got the squirts, I'd feel terrible and embarrassed if I had to actually resort to crapping on the beach. Like, and these guys do it like it's no big thing. Danielle shunned Trudeau's handshake, later dismissed it, saying that they'd met earlier in the day. It looked like Trudeau kind of blew her off. Like, he walked right past her, but... Say something about our pooping habits? I'm done talking about poop, Rick. Who cares about other white people? Apparently that makes me racist. Craps on the beaches. The Ring of Fire. Oh, God. I saw a beaver tonight. Well, depending if I take somebody out and buy them dinner first, I might say you beaver too, but yeah. Come on, there's a little joke. No, like a real legit beaver, Michelle, that's cool. That is awesome. We seen one when we were driving through Washington State near the mountains. Don't tell Mrs. Fringe I made that joke, by the way. She'll slap me. That's it's a chillin' chat. All right, let's land this thing. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I was worried there. I haven't seen a beaver since the strip joint in Thunder Bay last month, says Billy. Jesus. No, Mrs. Fringe tonight. Daphne, no, she doesn't come in for the chillin' chats. This is just a fun stream. Again, Friday Night Fringe is canceled because we're looking at new houses out of town. But she will be here hopefully tomorrow night for the Thursday night, Friday Night Fringe. It's all dependent on if we can get everything set up in order to leave town early Saturday or Friday morning. Because we have to be in Spruce Grove, I believe, for noon, somewhere around noon, to start seeing some houses. I'll be hiding in your trunk. I hope not. It'll get a little squishy back there. Got to get out of YYC. You know, Daphne, I was talking about that on last week's stream when we were talking about the reasons we were leaving town. And I was saying that, you know, our banker was even saying, like, people in my generation, like I'm in my 40s, and we were told, you know, our age group's trying to get out while, you know, the younger generation are the ones that want to stay. But to be completely honest, like, part of the reason we didn't upgrade our home in Calgary, as I said at the beginning of the stream, is we're priced out of the market. Even with 10 years equity on our house, and we've never once dipped into equity. We've never touched it. And we still can't afford to upgrade to a larger family home in Calgary. Now, that's not to say a larger, massive house. We're simply going from a 1,400 square foot home to maybe about a 1,900 square foot home, which, I mean, it's a slight upgrade. It's like another bedroom. And we're priced out of that market. So we had to look elsewhere. But we also looked at it and said, why not move somewhere a little cheaper and have a cheaper mortgage? Because honestly, we got our foot in the doors in the housing market. We started saying, you know, we love Calgary, but why are we working so hard to stay in a city that's riddled with crime, where the mayor doesn't care about anything, where, you know, everything's falling apart? Nothing's being handled. The police don't care. Rick, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. My goodness, that's the second one tonight. I appreciate that. Hang on, guys. I'm going to get caught up in the chat in a sec. I just got to land this bird. I bumped it. There we go. Which state of the thing lately, we're all out of reach? Oh, with the state of things lately, we're all out of reach. Okay, there you go. Time to get back to small-time living where neighbors care about each other. Well, that was one of the things that moved us to Spruce Grove or Stony Plain. It's a better community from what I've been told. My illustrator lives out that way. I've got family who live in Edmonton, and they all say the same thing. Spruce Grove's just family friendly. It's a good community. My cousin used to live there. She now lives in Moose Jaw. They got transferred for her husband's job, but they say the same thing. They love that town, and they go back in a heartbeat. It is an incredible difference, Daphne, but you have to remember the exchange rate again, that if you were to move there from Canada, you add that 30%. Some of them are more expensive than here, if not comparable, I guess, depending on where you're looking. Okay, it's the music. I can't do the music anymore. Let's get into a different game, because I usually try to do some gaming and then we get it back into chatting in the stream. One game I wanted to play before with you guys. One of my favorites of all time. And I didn't get to it last week. You guys ever heard of a little game called Castlevania? A little ditty called Castlevania? I do own this game complete in box. Final Fantasy for the music. Xylo, if I play Final Fantasy, I'll have to finish it. I'd be streaming it for weeks. I do agree, but no. Big Al, shouldn't he be on South Park? Castlevania is one of my guilty pleasures. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I absolutely love Castlevania. Yes, even Simon's Quest. I'm a big fan of all the retro Castlevania games. Castlevania 4 on the Super Nintendo is still my favorite Castlevania of all time. Let's do some Castlevania. I don't know if I'll be able to finish it because I haven't played it in over a year. But yeah, when I started collecting Nintendo games complete in box, this was one of the first ones I acquired, was good old Castlevania. Wolfenstein was a gooder too. I want that to disappear. I don't want the knife. I think the thing I loved about Castlevania as a kid was it was basically all the Hammer horror film monsters, or the Universal monsters, I guess, if you really want to get into it. You know, you've got Dracula, you've got the Mummy, you've got Frankenstein. Loved the Netflix Castlevania series. Very well done. That's not a knife, this is a knife. Castlevania 4 is the bomb, Billy. It is always going to be my favorite. I absolutely love it. Okay, I'm going to try to do my skip here. Oh, hang on, we'll try one more time. You can actually take a damage boost to get over this wall. Nope, didn't get it. That's okay. I took 2 hits damage, so we'll grab that. I moved to Calgary in 1980 from Tirana. I mean, I've been here since 95. I hate to leave. Like, my dad's here. I said to my wife, too, that, you know, part of the anxiety of leaving Calgary is that, you know, when my mom passed away, I've talked about it on stream, you know, I made a promise I was going to look after my old man and make sure he wasn't lonely, make sure everything was okay. But he seems to be okay, and, you know, my sister's still here, so I just said, to my wife, I feel like I'm kind of abandoning him, but at the same time, I know I'm not. But there's that guilt that sets in that, what if he needs me? Is it the right time to go? But, I've talked to him about it, and even he says, you can't sit here living for... He said, you can't live for me, you've got to live for you and your family. And that's, he's got a good point. Doesn't mean that the guilt doesn't still come in once in a while, that it's like, hey, am I doing the right thing? I've got kids. Yeah, I've got 3 of them, Daphne. I've got 3 kids. They're all under 10. All my kids are named after superheroes. I've got a Wade Wilson, I've got a Steve Rogers, and I've got a Harley Quinn. Good old wall meat. Yeah, you got to love that wall meat. I always thought it was like chicken or like a turkey leg when I was a kid. I've seen Steve a few times. Yeah, Steve has a tendency of busting in on my videos and my streams. So the reason I'm throwing my cross here, I'm trying to get a triple cross shot. I've got a double. And if you hit candles or enemies with them, that's how you upgrade. He's a little darling. He's a little devil is what he is. That kid's... he's death incarnate. There's my triple shot. So I want to hang on to this triple shot, hopefully not die all the way to the rest of the end of the game. No, that's not what I wanted to do. I was going to take a damage boost to get up top there, but now I'm just not going to worry because I'll screw that up and die. We'll take the long way. Again, I haven't played the game in over a year, so I'm so rusty at it. Not an excuse. I used to speedrun this game on Twitch when I used to stream it back in the day on my retro streams. I wish Twitch kept those because I was going to try to archive some of them, and I went back there the other day and there's none. Got a Sega CD on that thing? I do have a Sega CD on this. In fact, I personally have an entire North American Sega CD library. I absolutely love that console. So many good RPGs on there? Yeah, absolutely there are. Am I going to trade him in if he breaks another TV? No, CB, come on. Trade in my children? Never. And my son Steve has a tendency of breaking televisions in this house. Luckily, they're insured by Best Buy. Colin, welcome into the stream. Said you're in your 40s and 3 kids all under 10. I'm 40 and have a granddaughter and she's almost 2. You know, my wife and I Stardust, we tried to have kids. We got married when my wife was 25, I was 26. We tried to have kids for the longest time and we were just difficulty. And we tried for a long time to see specialists, to talk about all sorts of therapies we could do to help speed up the process. And it's funny because as we got into our 30s, we started talking about, well, maybe it's not going to happen. Maybe we start, going on trips, seeing the world a little bit. And wouldn't you know it, as soon as I booked a trip to Vegas, we were about a week and a half from leaving. And my wife says, you better go get a pregnancy test. I think I'm pregnant. And that was it. Then we were having kids. And then the other two just came along like nothing. So it was, I guess, just our time. Glad that it happened because, you know, it always used to upset my wife. Like, we'd go around friends who were having babies. Her family members were having babies. And she'd always, like, she'd be happy for them, but she'd always have this sense of jealousy and kind of anger that it's like, why is it their turn? It's never mine. I get that end of it. It was tough. It was a tough couple years. It really weighed hard on our marriage because, of course, it causes stress and panic. And my wife was always meant to have kids. She's like the perfect, like, she's got all the tolerance to be a parent, the temperament. She's just one of those people that, like, you'd be shocked if they never had kids because you see them and you instantly think like that they must be a mom. So I'm glad it worked out. One time at band camp, I saw a beaver. I got a favorite Sonic game, Sonic 2. Sonic 2 is always going to be my favorite Sonic game. Look at that, we did it with full health, 21 hearts. I think we're good. Let's get the mummies. There's what I wanted. Give me that catapult over top. There's why we wanted the triple cross. Dominated. How about some DuckTales up next? We'll see, Xylo. I'll see what I can get into. Arthur with the Dragon's Lair. I've got a special edition Dragon's Lair that's remastered, so it's not all pixelated. Arthur, I will do a Dragon's Lair stream, and we will I will play through both Dragon's Lair 1 and 2. Probably not 2. I've tried so many times with 2. I've only beat it once. But I will do a Dragon's Lair stream in the near future for you. This level's a huge colossal run ruiner because of these bats that spawn. If they knock you into the water, it's game over. Because if you lose the triple cross shot before Frankenstein, huge problems. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. I think we're okay. No, we gotta go back. That bat, see that bat came in? It wasn't even supposed to come in from that direction. They all come in from the right. The game's trying to screw me. What was my favorite game back then, and has it changed today, or is it still the same? So my favorite game of all time, probably Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Definitely one of my favorite games on... favorite Zelda game of the series, but one of my favorites to play, to go back and play and enjoy it. This game is definitely underneath that. I gotta be careful because, yeah, see, I was just gonna say it. Sometimes these guys drop an axe, and I don't want the axe. All right, here we go. Frankenstein. Frankenstein. Oh, don't want that knife. Oh, he was supposed to drop hearts. He dropped money. Okay, I think we're okay. I think we're okay for hearts. I got a big one there. Oh, there we go. We got another big one. We're good. I was a little worried there. I wouldn't have any. So the hearts are your ammunition for your sub-weapons. I was worried I wasn't going to have any. So the reason you want the crosses is because it stalls that little hunchback while you hit Frankenstein. There we go. Knife is for ghouls and ghosts. Absolutely, Xylo. I get mad when people have babies and neglect them. Well, yeah, that would make me pretty mad too. Technically, the monster, yes, Frankenstein's monster. I always say, I just say Frankenstein because that's what it's associated with. But yes, and it's pronounced Frankenstein. there's a little young Frankenstein joke for you. All right, we're gonna switch up our cross because now for the rest of the game we want holy water. Triple shot holy water is gonna be where it's at. Death himself is the next boss. The Grim Reaper. A lot of people say that it's the worst boss of the game, but he's actually the easiest boss in the game, as long as you have your triple shot holy water. This game just had an unbelievable soundtrack. There's my double. Good. Double. I got my Timmy's holy water. Not gonna waste a holy water on that guy because it doesn't count. Triple shot. There we go. We're in business, baby. Let's get some wall chicken while we're at it. Build up the old ammunition if we can. The Grim Reaper wants to show his boner. Mr. Me says, look at me! Thank you for the $2 super sticker. Mr. Meeseeks, look at me! That's a good old Rick and Morty joke if you don't know the show. So those knights usually take 8 hits to get rid of. The holy water takes care of them if you get them trapped in it in 1. So that's the reason why you want the holy water. But mainly for death. I didn't know water was napalm. It only bursts when it's going after Dracula, I guess. Bursts into flame. I keep throwing holy water because I'm used to it, but I should stop. I need to conserve my ammunition. Except for those guys. Those guys that get holy water. This room coming up when we go upstairs is the room that kills a lot of people's runs in this game. In fact, it killed my runs as a kid. Anytime I would get here, and usually to get this far in the game was definitely a sleepover night with my friends. It was like, okay, everybody get your sleeping bags. Let's do a 7-Eleven run and get Slurpees and potato chips because we're staying up to play Castlevania. It definitely took forever to get here. If anybody needs holy water, Justin Trudeau does. He needs Jesus. He needs something. Okay, and our health is still good. I'm not going to need wall chicken for going upstairs, I guess. So this room coming up upstairs, this is the one that would kill the run because you have all these knights, and I didn't know that holy water did as much damage as it does here. But if you get hit 4 times with the axe, you did. These Medusa heads have screwed up my pattern. Hey, look at that. The axe is actually stopping the knight from spawning. I'll take that. So we actually skipped a knight, which is good. All right, hardest boss in the game. You guys ready? Here comes death. So you can actually stall death just by using holy water. And I didn't know this till I was older. But you essentially just lock them in place, and there you go. Death, one of the most difficult bosses in the game, defeated by holy water. I think he's banished. The Prince of Darkness himself, and I'm not talking about Ozzy. There you go. I grew up playing classic arcade games and still play them today. I bought my latest classic Donkey Kong from Retro Oasis and Oak Dude, I'm jealous, Arthur. You know what? I was going to go to Retro Oasis. I heard they had a Donkey Kong. I was going to ask them if I could buy it off them. Wow. I'm thinking about converting my Donkey Kong Jr. into a Donkey Kong at some point, because I'm a bigger fan of Donkey Kong than Donkey Kong Jr. Donkey Kong was the first... No! There goes my run. My run is over. Oh, I died on the last stage of the game. I was supposed to jump like that. Oh, I can't believe I've done this. It's over. It's over. I'm going to quit because I'll start getting temperamental. I'm just going to quit. Oh, I wanted to finish Castlevania so bad for you guys. Oh, no. Let me, the audio's probably loud on this one because I don't have it turned down, so let me remove that one for a second from the screen. I'll find a different game. I'll do one more game. People said DuckTales. Do you guys want DuckTales or do you want some Mike Tyson's Punch-Out? Let's vote that in the chat. If you guys want some DuckTales or if you want Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, I'll play one of the two and save the other one for another stream. I like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, but I also am a fan of DuckTales. DuckTales is going to take... I can't speed run it. It'll probably take me a good half hour to get through that. Xylo and a Katsuki is saying, DuckTales, I've got one for Mike Tyson. Are you a fan of Mike Tyson's Mysteries? I liked Mike Tyson Mysteries. I thought it was hilarious. Mr. Meeseeks is saying DuckTales as well. Oh, guys, you're killing me. All right. Like, look, we got another DuckTales. Okay, I was almost at Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, but we'll do some DuckTales. I'll save Punch-Out for the next one. All right, let's get the stream back in. Oh, hold on. I have to get that theme song in everybody's head? Come on, I'm not going to be that mean. Let's get in right away, because I want to get this one finished as quick as I can. I don't even know if I'll be able to finish this one, because, again, I haven't played this one in probably a couple of years. They did a remaster of this game that my kids enjoy. I haven't played through it yet. I still remember where a lot of the secrets are in this, though, because as a kid, I had the power. Nintendo power. Good old Nintendo power used to show you everything. DuckTales was like the perfect platformer? Absolutely, and it was too easy. Disney platformers were always easy, except for Darkwing Duck. That one had a little bit of difficulty to it. Is that Donkey Kong's head you're jumping on? No! Oh, I went too high. Nope. Do I have the glove? I have a power glove, yes. In fact, I have the video store collector case for the power glove. Technically, people called that a collector's edition power glove. Launchpad McQuack! need some health. It is so bad. Do I want to lift back to Duckburg? No, I'm having too much fun. Oh, no, get that. I almost missed the health. That would have sucked. Yo, Snatch, how you doing, man? Welcome in. Alright, we'll take the shortcut. I have part of the OG DuckTales on DVD. I've got the entire series, and my kids absolutely love it. Especially, what was the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp? We have so many retro shows on DVD. My 4-year-old is obsessed with watching Pee-wee's Playhouse. And I'm all for it. You know, say what you want about Paul Rubens. I used to love Pee-wee Herman. Scrooge jumping in the money vault. There was, I think it was Robot Chicken that did it, where they had him jumping in and it was like the reality of it, and like he was bleeding and broken bones. Master Snatch, Olivia Chow stole your handle. Oh, wasn't that disgusting? Oh, I threw up in my mouth when I saw that. It's nightmare fuel. Absolutely, rip Pee-wee. Take another secret passage. I think it's the mirror on the right we jump into. Oh. What was this lady's name again? It was something Lestrange, wasn't it? It's on the tip of my tongue, too. Like Demonica or something like that, or... Magica! That was it. I was looking at the chat and I got killed. Oh, come on. Come on, man. And you can't hurt those guys. Magica Dispel, not Destrange. That was it. It's funny because she made an appearance in Darkwing Duck at one point too. It's like they were, because Launchpad was in Darkwing Duck, I think they were trying to do like this whole Disney universe, kind of like the first MCU of Disney. Who are you gonna call? He-Man. There's a Ghostbusters 2 line for you. Hopefully not Ghostbusters on the NES. There was a British version of that game that's way better. I should play that on stream sometime, Xylo. You'll need a key to get in. It's in Transylvania. Well, I was just there. There's the Master System version too. The Master System version is slightly better than the NES version. But this European version of Ghostbusters on the NES, I don't understand why we couldn't have got it. It was way better. It was a top-down... For some reason, Winston is blue in the game. No, I think we go down here. The Xbox version? Are you talking about like the Ghostbusters, the game or whatever? That was absolutely amazing. That the whole voice cast came back for before Harold Ramis died. That game is awesome. In fact, I would love to replay that game sometime. I would totally play that on the channel. Who doesn't love Harold Ramis? Where's the child labor? They got him out of here. It's Disney. They don't want to show you the truth. Okay, no, it's not here. I think we go to the right on the next one. See, here in the Himalayas are the two levels where I got lost. Yeah, here's the boss. I mean, the boss is pretty simple. All the bosses in this game are pretty simple. I'm gonna mosey on over to Northern Perspective. Oh, Daphne, come on, that's blasphemy. Have a good time. Thanks for popping in. I get it, they're talking politics. I'm playing video games. It's okay. This was, again, usually I do these on like a Monday night. I'm doing it again tonight just to make up for Friday's loss. Alright, let's go. Let's see if I can avoid getting lost here. I did come here first. It's all good. Damn it. Have a good night, Daphne. Thanks for popping in. All right, here we go. I don't even know if I'm going the right way, and I just died. Come on, go down. Yes, there are new restrictions in Calgary. I'm gonna do a video about it, and I just died. No, you didn't get it wrong. There's new restrictions. They found more problems. Surprise, surprise. And then they go, oh, it's just for a little while, folks. It's just, bear with us. We're going back to indoor water restrictions again. I believe. I have to double check, and that's partially why I don't want to talk about it tonight. I'm going to do a video about it because I want to make sure I've got all the facts straight. Apparently it was just announced today. So I do want to make sure I go back and get all my facts, all my ducks in a row before I talk about it. Because the last thing I want to do is tell you guys one thing and then find out it's another. Because I love how the trolls love so much to come into the chat and be like, oh, you got this wrong, actually. It's this. You should do your homework. You're That's a game over. Looks like Capcom reused some assets. They always reuse assets. I'm going to focus on chat for a little bit. We're going to cut out of the stream. We're going to cut out of games just because, again, I only stream the games for a little bit and then make it a chill and chat. Again, it's kind of like a get to know the Fringe. But it was really fun playing some games with you guys. And again, I will do that on regular chill and chat videos, and we'll start doing other systems other than Nintendo. Let's get into, maybe let's look up these water restrictions. Should we do that together? Maybe do a little research together for a video. That could be fun, wouldn't it? Let's open up a good old browser and see what we can find. Games are fun, Xylo, but you know what's more fun too is the chat. I love hanging out with the chat, talking with you guys. Mystical saying, "Yay, homework!" Black Diamond is great. I was there for a month ago. You know, but Billy, I do love Black Diamond, and in fact, again, I like my wife and I when we were looking at houses, we've looked all over southern Calgary. Like we looked at Okotoks, we looked at Black Diamond, we looked at Pritis. We've looked at a lot of different areas, but it's just, again, for what we can get up north in Alberta in a small community, small to medium-sized community with a small town feel, it just made sense for us to say, well, we can get more for our money. We can get a larger home. We can have more opportunities for the kids. That's kind of what's driving us towards Spruce Grove. I've always said, no offense to anybody who lives in Edmonton or around Edmonton, I always had this joke with my friends, and again, it's because I'm from Calgary, you know, the old rivalry, but I always said Edmonton was like Canada's armpit. I never thought in a million years I'd be moving near Edmonton, but here we go. Here we go. Let's look at the Clown Broadcasting Corporation. I'm going to bring it up here. Hold on. Bears Paw feeder main to be shut down again for urgent repairs to Calgary water system. Now, this came out. Stage 4 outdoor water restrictions returning August 26th. Calgary Mayor Jody Gondek says the city's water distribution system will require further major repairs, and the Bear Paw feeder main will be shut down again at the end of the month, requiring temporary return to Stage 4 water restrictions. She made the announcement at a news conference Wednesday after seeing the results of the pipe diver inspection of the Bear Paw feeder main. Pipe diver is an electromagnetic and ultrasonic pipe inspection tool used to monitor large diameter water pipes. 16 new hotspots were detected along the key feeder main, and planned maintenance will be carried out over the coming weeks. City officials say additional hotspots will likely be discovered as repair work gets underway. To be clear, hang on, let me make this bigger for you guys, shall we? Let's do that. I don't know if that helps. To be clear, the pipe is not facing an immediate break at any of these sites, so it's not in any peril. Rather, there are enough points of weakness or strain in these sections to that the maintenance work needs to be completed before the end of September, said Gondek. Stage 4 outdoor water restrictions will return August 26th as repairs begin. In the meantime, Stage 1 restrictions remain in effect. Work is estimated to be completed by September 23rd. However, officials say this date could change. Under Stage 4 outdoor water use restrictions, no water is permitted outside. This includes sprinklers, hose watering, hand watering, watering new grass, as well as washing cars, windows, sidewalks, driveways, and walkways. Filling pools, hot tubs, fountains, or other decorative features are also prohibited. Under Stage 4, full list for what is not allowed under Calgary's water use restrictions, visit the website. It says where the hot spots are, and off it goes. This is ridiculous. Regardless of how you feel about, hey, Derek, you're being unreasonable. It's just water restrictions. You know, they're fixing a main. It's all, at the very least, it's incredible mismanagement of city resources Again, Naheed Nenshi listed as a prominent figurehead with the WEF. I'm actually going to take these headphones off since I'm not doing game music anymore. Sweating up a storm down here. Even if this is legitimate water restrictions, Naheed Nenshi neglected the repairs. He wrote them off and said, or not the repairs, but the inspections. He says, we don't need to do the inspections. We don't need to worry about it. You know, whatever his concern was, that tells me this is done deliberately. I don't care what anybody says. If people say you're wearing a tinfoil hat, if people say you're wrong, people say, yeah, Derek, you don't know what you're talking about. Fine. Say whatever you like. But can you tell me as a mayor, as a city mayor, when you're different divisions of offices come to you, when your city planning workers come to you and they say, sir, we must conduct an inspection on this pipe. It's mandatory. It's required. And they go, nah, it'll be fine. Doesn't that strike you as a little weird? I know weird is trending. Don't I mean nen shit? Yes, absolutely I do. It's just crazy. It's the whole thing is off the wall crazy. It's nuts. And this is again part of the reason that we're leaving Calgary. It's and I know people say, look, you're moving to a bedroom community. Edmonton's been boasting 15-minute cities. It'll come out to where you're at. I don't really care because it's small town life and it's usually a little more resilient against those things than other places. And even if it's not, it's they usually the people there usually don't want to put up with much. I've been told Spruce Grove is a more oil and gas centric town. It's blue collar. They don't like the woke stuff out there. What I find surprising about the whole situation is that this is a feeder main that comes into the city. And this is where people need to ask the questions. I could be wrong about the whole thing. I could be wrong about my assumptions on the whole situation that, hey, this is designed like the COOF. It's designed to control. It's just 2 weeks to flatten the curve that's now turned. Like, remember, this happened at the beginning of June. It's August. People are still getting yelled at for turning on their sprinklers. And soon they're going to be told you can't use them at all. It's all reminiscent of COVID. Here's these restrictions being lifted. Oh, we got to put them back. Oh, here it is again. Now we got to put it back. Can the city not fix a water main and its problems without shutting down the entire city? Can they not do that? Like, is there anybody in the chat who knows somebody who works in water management or who works on utilities? Because to my knowledge, anytime I've heard of a water main break, they've shut down a neighborhood. They've brought out water trucks and they've had it repaired within about 24 hours. What is so damn special about this pipe that they have to limit the entire city? That they can't just shut down the portion where the problems are and work on it accordingly? Because it raises too many questions about, is this being done for control? And people saying, Derek, like, and again, people have said it anytime I've covered it. There are people who chime in who go, come on, man, shake your head. Understand how the process works. I don't care. After all of the abuse of the government, after all of their abuse of rules, regulations during the COOF, we know Jody Gondek is installed. We know that Jody Gondek is a WEF supporter. How can we trust any government after their betrayal during COVID? How can we trust their word when they say, look, we're being honest with you. We're just doing what needs to be done. How can I believe that? Because you're using the same terminology with these restrictions that you used during COVID. Stage 1 to stage 4, you're now allowed this, you're not allowed that. And what shocks the hell out of me, no matter what's happening, is how easily everybody just gives in again and says, okay, I'll do it again. I'll comply. When are people going to start saying, shut up? Up yours. I've had enough. Do you think Jody Gondek is restricting her water use? I guarantee you it's a very prominent, hell no, she's not. She sits in her ivory tower. She doesn't care. Wait, did I miss something? Why is it saying who hasn't cheated on their spouse? What are we talking about here? Is somebody saying Jody Gondek cheats on her spouse or something? Did I miss something? Not me, not ever. I didn't before, I won't ever. Why do you trust NP? They are shills, like Brian or Ryan is the same or as lame as fuck. I don't know who we're talking about. You're quoting Nickelback? Is that what it was, Michelle? Okay, my bad. If I've confused, sorry. I'm trying to I'm trying to get caught up in the chat here. It's crazy the way we're headed. It's crazy to see these things. And you know what? All it does, it's crazy to think that these are one of the reasons we're leaving Calgary. I don't like making streams about what I'm doing or what's going on, but I'm using it as an example because we're not the only ones. The bankers told us there's tons of people right now trying to get out of the city because of these problems, because of governments, because of the way we're treated. I'd rather deal with a small municipality like Spruce Grove, where they do have an office where I can go in and voice my concerns, where there is somebody sitting at the desk in that office to hear what my complaints are and what I have to say, so that when I'm being charged property taxes and I'm not getting the services I'm due, I can go in there and say, what the hell are you doing? Right? Like, this is my problem with Calgary, is that when I came here in the 90s, when I moved here in 95, very friendly city. It was sprawling. It was booming. People were coming here from all over the world. Nobody talked about mass immigration. Nobody talked about problems from immigrants. People were coming here for a better life. Everybody was friendly. People let you in when you were driving. There was no rush on the roads. You know, over the last 30 years, I've seen this city go from a happy, vibrant, opportunistic town into a dark, smug ghost of a shell of his former self. The city is riddled with crime. Homeless people are sprawled all over the streets. Drug addicts sprawled all over the streets. People doing drugs openly without any cause for concern, and the police doing nothing to stop it. They're saying it's not my problem. I'm not allowed to do anything about it. Can you imagine that? That police are now being told not to do their jobs? I don't understand how we got here. And I know people will say, we got here when Justin Trudeau started it. We got it with the WEF. We got it with all these things. But what I'm saying is I don't understand how we let it get here. Like, anytime, again, in my teens, getting into my adult years, you go out on Canada Day, you see people waving their flags, you see people proud to be Canadians. Anytime the Olympics were going on and they weren't about woke ideologies and putting men on display to beat the crap out of women, it was about competition. It was about pride in your country. People were excited for Canada. People were always cheering them on, waving the flags, Canadian pride. And over the early 2000s into now, it's just dissipated at an alarming rate. And I talked about it before that anytime I've gone to the United States, you see patriotism down there. Every house has an American flag outside of it. People are wearing American flag clothing. And, you know, if you say one bad word about America, they'll knock your teeth out. Canada, you come here and go, this place is a shithole. And people just go, yeah. Yeah, it kind of is. And it's so sad. Because I never in a million years thought, I mean, guys, my wife and I at one point during lockdowns, she was offered the chance to go to the United States for a job. on a sponsorship. The only reason we didn't take it was because I wasn't allowed to work for the first 2 years. But we turned it down. And a lot of the reason we turned it down was because I said I love Canada. I don't want to move to the United States. If you think things are any better down there, I got news for you. They're not. They're definitely not. Sure, they could be more affordable, but that doesn't mean better. The cops don't do shit because of catch and release. Yeah, amongst other things, it's politics. Politics are a part of their job now, right? The higher ups are taking orders from the higher ups, which they're not supposed to do. Their job is to serve and protect, not worry about if their premiers or their mayors or whoever is going to fire them for actually doing their job. That's the problem. I said it on other streams. You know, there's police that I feel bad for because they're not at the top. And when you hear just following orders, I get it to an extent if they have a family to look after. I get it if that's the only place they have their career. People can't just leave their careers. And it's the same thing when people come to me, why don't you just stick to Rumble instead of YouTube? I hate to say it, guys. YouTube is where the money is right now. I get paid by views on YouTube. I get paid by ad revenue. If I wasn't getting paid to do YouTube, I wouldn't be able to put out as much content as I do already. That's just a fact of life. If I'm a shill for that, call it a shill. But it's running a business. It's no different than going to a job and working for your paycheck. I've always said on the streams, I don't ask for super chats. If people give them, hey, I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful people want to support the channel like that. But I've always said the billion-dollar corporations are paying me for my ad time. But things aren't any better there. And I can't believe how awful they are here. I love my country. I was just going to say what's been on a bunch of t-shirts. I love my own country, but I'm embarrassed of our leaders. You can't have police that are willing to be corrupt and push that on to working class other officers. There's lots of corrupt officers out there, but there are some good ones, ladies and gentlemen. And they've got mortgages and they've got kids and they've got bills to pay. It's Mr. Macy said, I don't see you as a shill. I appreciate it. I really don't care how people see me. That's the thing. You know, I always get at people in the comments putting, who cares? Nobody cares. Why are you even on YouTube? And I look at it and go, I really don't care what you think. Don't watch the videos. If you don't like my face, if you don't like what I'm saying, don't watch the videos. Nobody's holding a gun to your head. Nobody's making you do it. So you're free to go, right? I'm very grateful for our community. I've always said we have one of the best communities on this platform, I feel, and one of the most supportive communities on this platform. But I do have to be a realist, and I do have to say it like it is. And that is the one promise I've always made to you guys in this community, is that I'm going to say it the way it is. I know a lot of you don't like police. I don't like a lot of corrupt police. I don't like police who enjoy doing what they're doing. But there are ones that I've spoken to, ones that I know that work for different police outfits that absolutely hate what's going on. But just like me, just like you, just like anybody else, how else do they pay their bills? That's where all their training is. That's where their livelihoods are. They've got wives, they've got kids, they've got husbands. What are they supposed to do? The problem isn't the police, at least the good ones. The problem, I've said it before, are the higher ups, the chiefs, the administrators, the government, the people pulling the strings in the background saying, do this or else. They're the problem. Most people are afraid when somebody doesn't like them. Well, most people need to let go of that. Look, people who know me personally know that I do have a problem when some people don't like me. In fact, I've had to go through a lot of therapy to understand the importance of letting go when people just don't like you. I don't like it when people who I know personally don't like me, or if I've done something to upset somebody that I personally know. Yeah, those things bother me. But when it comes to the internet, when it comes to most things in life, Donald Trump used to have a saying on The Apprentice, there's nothing personal about this, it's just business. And my old man always told me that in life, there's three things you have to balance, that you have to know how to be. You have to know how to be a victim. Have to know how to be like a hero, a good guy, and you have to know how to be a villain. And you have to know how to balance those things. And what he means by that is that if bad things happen, you have to know how much of a victim to be. You have to know how to say, okay, this is terrible. It happened. How do I deal with this? How do I move on? You have to be the good thoughted person to say, I'm going to make the right choices. I'm going to make the best decisions because I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to harm people. But when it comes down to being the villain, you have to be able to say, I believe in what I stand behind, even if it offends you, even if you don't like what I'm saying. I'm going to stand behind it because at some point in life, ladies and gentlemen, no matter who you are the villain in somebody's story. Even if you think you're right, there's so many movies out there, and I'll use an Avengers movie as an example where you look at a guy like Thanos, who wanted to snap half of the galaxy out of existence because finite materials like food were going stagnant in places. And he says, by getting rid of half of everybody, there will be enough food for everybody. People said that's genocide. He said, I call it mercy, because you're saving half the universe that don't have to starve to death, that don't have to live off of a lack of resources. Now, it's not to mean that he was right. Well, some people say he was, but it's that the villain believes that what he's doing is correct, that it has purpose. And that's what it means to know how much in life to be a villain, to say, look, whether you like me or not, this is where I put my line in the sand. This is where I stand. And that's what I have to do on YouTube. That's what I have to do with you guys. I've questioned Pierre Poilievre at times, and people have said, you can't do that. We don't want anybody else getting in. Shh, you'll spoil the party for everybody. Isn't that what got us here in the first place? Isn't that what got Justin Trudeau in, was all these young Gen Zers saying, I think he's hot, I'm going to vote for him because he's gorgeous? Like, that's no reason to elect somebody. We've talked about that before. You know what else I've talked about before? Colin P. Extremely generous. My God, Colin, I love your channel. You don't censor people. Other channels say conservative, but not so much. I appreciate that, Colin. My God, Colin is one of the most generous people on this channel. And whether you put a thumbs up or a comment in the channel, that's still very generous. It's not about money. But Colin, thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate that. Yes, as Helen's saying, you're a very kind man. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you. Stardust saying, I feel bad for police now. They aren't taken seriously because they're not allowed to do anything. It ain't worth arresting them if they ain't going to throw out a charge. I get it. And you know what's funny? I do have a video to show you guys later this week about police that shouldn't be police. The reason why some police abuse their privileges. And I'm going to get into it a little later this week. I hope you guys enjoy that video. I don't want to spoil it, but there are good cops out there. There's bad cops. There's good people in any situation in life. I found with jobs, I keep telling my kids, because they come home from school and say, I don't like this person. I don't want to go back to school because I don't like them. And I keep telling them, look, whether you work in an office or whether you work at a gas station or whether you work at the government, there's always going to be people you don't like in life. There's going to be government you don't like in life. There's going to be situations you're not happy with. I've gotten ahead in my life personally by being able to get knocked down and pick myself up and say, I got to keep moving. I'm not going to complain about the things that have happened. I'm just going to deal with it and move on. I don't like Justin Trudeau. I don't like what he's doing to my country. But what I have to do is say, how do I fix my situation? How do I make my situation better? Sitting here and bitching about Justin Trudeau while it pays the bills on YouTube. When I shut off the cameras, it's how do we move forward with life? Right? That's why I talk about what we're doing with the move up to places like Spruce Grove, is that we're looking at it saying, how can we get more out of life with the things that are being presented to us, rather than sitting and doing nothing about it and complaining, because it doesn't change the situation. I can complain till the cows come home. Justin Trudeau isn't going to quit. My bank account isn't going to suddenly fill with money unless, Colin keeps being generous, but just a little joke. But it's not just going to magically fill with money and then all of a sudden my problems are solved. And I'm going to tell you something, after having success with my book series with YouTube, money does not solve all your problems. In fact, it makes things a little more difficult. Was it Notorious B.I.G. who used to say more money, more problems? It doesn't. Money's nice, and having the ability to do things is nice, but what you need is community. What you need is family. You need connections. You need peers, and that's one of the things I value on this channel is the people who come into these live streams, the people who want to chat, the people who want a sense of community because we have like-minded views. There's power in numbers. This is how we get ahead of Justin Trudeau. This is how we beat him. There's no decision he can make in politics to absolutely ruin our lives that we as a nation can't band together and get ahead of. The Freedom Convoy showed us that. Or until Mystical says government recognizes my trans financial status. Yes, absolutely. Corey, you do have a point. Money doesn't solve everything, but food sure does. Yes. In fact, I used to have a joke when I used to go for job interviews. People would say, why is it you want to work here? And I just said, well, I kind of like the idea of not starving to death. That was always my answer because, people always give the generic answers. And I find an answer like that always breaks the situation. I'm a very, very sarcastic person. I don't know if you guys have picked up on that, but a lot of people think that I'm always being aggressive. It's actually sarcasm. I'm a goofball. That's I can get serious when I need to, but I find that when you can give people a chuckle, when you can have people a little more happy and smiling, that you can get a room moving a lot easier than by being serious and boring and dull all the time. So forgive my humor if it's too much for people. I'm so full of shit. Well, that's your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. Like I said earlier, I really don't care what anybody thinks of me on the internet. It's you're entitled to think what you want. I don't care. That's I'd like to know how I am, but hey, that's okay. Mr. Meeseeks, I'll support you more in the future. We need more we need your voice. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Oh God, I should talk like Peter for the rest of the stream. I'm not going to talk like Peter Griffin the whole time and say, you know what really grinds my gears? No, we're not going to do that. That would be IP infringement. We're not. You sarcastic. There we go. There we go. Fringe won't censor you. Northern Perspective will, and they should have stayed a video stream. I don't know, Colin, what's going on there. I don't watch Northern Perspective. I don't watch a lot of other channels that do politics. I've said it before that I find if I watch those channels, and I'm reporting on something similar, that I might make them feel like I'm stealing ideas. So I tend not to really get involved. I tend not to get involved when it gets there. Or with those things. I used to hang out with Clyde when I first started on YouTube. In fact, Clyde helped me get my start. And things didn't really work out there. So I kind of tend to back off a little bit when it comes to other channels. So I apologize. I'm not in tune really with other YouTubers that much. Like I talk with some of them, and no offense to them. I usually don't watch a lot of their videos. Just because I don't want them feeling like I'm ever stealing ideas. Stardust says, would make this mess of a country a little funnier. Peter's voice, it makes it all better. It does. It does make it happy. It does, actually. I'll tell you, I don't trust them. Well, again, that's your opinion. And again, I appreciate your opinion. I don't really want to get into the drama. So I don't know about it. So I'm sorry to hear that they censor. I'm sure they feel they have their reasons, or they don't. I don't know. Again, I don't watch it. But hey, I appreciate you, and I appreciate the comment. You know what's funny is when we talk about Peter, sometimes when my wife is really mad at me, I'll do something like that, or I'll sit around and be like, "Oh, I bet you can't wait until I leave the room and you could smell all my dog farts," and I talk like Stewie. and she gets really mad because she tries not to laugh, even though she's mad at me and she's yelling. It's it's a good way to end a fight though, or an argument. And it's funny because my wife and I don't really fight that often. It's probably once a year. Glad I found your channel back in 2021. You saved my life. I felt there was hope when you spoke. You're awesome. So that would have been 2022, but wow. I'm not sure how I saved your life, but thank you, I guess. Wow, that's heartwarming. That's a big one. Helen chiming in, we've been programmed not to be joyous, loving, or caring. Well, and that's part of what made me do How the Prime Minister Stole Freedom. That's part of what's made me do all of my other Unacceptable Fringe books, is that I wanted to make people laugh at a time when things weren't funny, when things were down, when we were all down on our luck. I think laughter is the best medicine. I think that comedy always outshines the negative. That if we can all find a way to laugh at ourselves, the world can be a better place, which obviously makes me full of shit. Regarding the RCMP, that there are good ones, would you say the same about any organized criminal gang? RCMP is the biggest gang in Canada. So no, I'm talking about police. I'm not talking about, I know RCMP is technically a branch of the police. I've dealt with Calgary Police Service, and they're technically a private police service, so I don't want to touch on that. There probably are good RCMP officers. It's just the bad ones set an example for the rest of them. They brand the rest of them. Who wants to see me dress up as a chicken and fight Derek on stream? Oh my God, Mystical. I couldn't hit you, but that would be funny. That'd be funny. Imagine someone telling you that Derek saved them. I mean, it's very humbling. Before I found your channel back then, I almost self-deleted. I felt super alone. You know, it's funny that you say that, because we had in our house, we lost people during the pandemic. And I know a lot of people that got to that stage. I know a lot of people that were down, and I can relate. I've told the story a million times, but let's tell it 1,000,001. And it's what inspired me to get into this. And it's what inspired me to do How the Prime Minister Stole Freedom. Was I was sitting around in my house, and like I said, I don't really argue with my wife too often. We're best friends. We're best bubs, as I said when we went to Wolverine and Deadpool. But tensions were mounting. She had to work from home, so she was working in our guest bedroom every day. The kids were running around the house going stir crazy because they were home from school. They weren't allowed to go to school. We just had my youngest son. So while my wife, or technically no, she was on maternity leave at the time. She would have been on mat leave, so she wasn't working at home, but we were all in the house. We were going stir crazy. We just lost my mom, and I was depressed. And I started to hear rumors in January about this convoy. And I kept saying to my wife, apparently, for months before that, I'd been saying, the government's going to push everybody into a corner, and at some point, somebody's going to snap back, because you can only push an animal so far before it'll attack. And I'd been saying it and my wife kept saying, when? It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. And then when the trucker convoy rumors were coming around, I said, finally, here's what it is. And I was always curious, how big is it going to be, really? Because I honestly, when I first heard about it, I thought maybe 20 trucks and some people with signs would show up in Ottawa, and they'd make a statement. It would get a little bit of news coverage for a day, and that would be it. The truckers would voice their concerns, and then they'd go back to work because they had to pay their mortgages. They had to work for a living. And then all of a sudden, when they hit Calgary, are we actually live? Yes, Cuba. I do fun streams sometimes. And again, because Friday's stream is canceled, which I am doing tomorrow in its place. So join me tomorrow night. I do fun chill and chat streams. We were playing video games earlier, and now we're chatting. But when we were sitting around, we saw the convoy. I remember turning on the TV one day, and they were in Calgary. They were at the Road King truck stop in Calgary, and helicopters on the news were circling the gas station, the roads around. The traffic couldn't move. There were so many trucks. And I was like, holy crap, this is actually turning into something. And then a couple hours later, they were reporting on trucks coming from the east around Quebec, and they were all going to Ottawa. And I couldn't believe it. And I said to my wife, like, it's real. It's actually happening. I can't believe what they're doing. They're banding together. There's hundreds of them, like hundreds of trucks, thousands of people. I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't know what's going on. And then the one day, the day I got the idea for the book was the day that the news outlets were covering the trucks going through Headingley in Manitoba, just outside of Winnipeg. People lined up on overpasses and minus 25 cold with signs cheering on the truckers, CB radios going off, messages from kids thanking truckers. And my daughter was 2 feet from the television looking at it in awe because she kept asking, when are things going to get back to normal? When can I see my friends? When can I go to school? And she asked, are the truckers going to get our lives back? And I just said, I certainly hope so. And we were glued to the TV for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Live stream after live stream after. I would literally finish a live stream on YouTube and then watch another one. I would go to bed and keep my wife up at night because I was just watching live streams. I was watching Ottawaks, and I was watching You Ottawa Scotty, and I was watching Zot, and I was watching Travel Fun 69, and I was watching everybody that was streaming. All these amazing live streams. And then there were some that were trying to capitalize and always, hey, look at these super chats I got. That was all what it was about. Those ones drove me nuts. But I was always watching a live stream, live from the shed. You know, and while I was watching those live streams, speaking of video games, I started watching The Angry Video Game Nerd, and I don't know if you guys know about him. He's a very prominent YouTuber. He's been around for almost 20 years on YouTube. He did a parody of The Grinch for a Christmas video. And I saw that video, and it just hit me like a bolt of lightning that, hey, I should do a parody of Justin Trudeau with how he stole freedom. And I started putting it together and watching the convoy streams. And then when everything happened with the Emergency Act, it's like, there's my ending. There's how I'm going to put this together. And it just took off. And the reception was unbelievable. And I've never been more grateful. Because for the first time, and this goes back to what Roman Patriot said about feeling alone, we felt alone. And then all of a sudden, I seen these truckers going into Headingley, Manitoba, and going, that's what Canada used to be. That's Canada. That's Canadian pride. That's what it means to be Canadian. They're fighting for strangers and saying this isn't right for the rest of the country. They went to jail for us. They're still fighting in court. We've seen what happened to the Coots 4. Tamara and Chris Barber are headed to court. It's either next week or the week after. I think it's the 17th they go back. And it was at that moment that my depression turned around, and I started to feel that sense of pride in my country again. My life was going to get back to normal. You know, I started going out and people would say, stay 6 feet apart. And I said, shut up. I just got so past it at that point. I was telling people to shut up. In fact, I got to one point, my wife got mad because we went to a store. I'll never forget because my kids were with us. And somebody said, you know, you really should pull your mask a little bit further up your face because your nose is showing. And I said, go blow it out your ass. And I was in front of my kids and I was so mad. I just had enough. And my wife was like, stop, you're going to get the kids swearing. And it was, but it's seriously like these guys just drove me nuts. But to be told that this channel saved somebody, going back to that, you're not alone. We have a community here. We're all like-minded. We've all been there. I've been there. Even at the high points of my life, my depression has gotten the better of me, and I've been there. And what I've been told in life, and one thing I've always realized, is that the sun's going to go down at the end of the day, but tomorrow it comes up, and there's 24 more hours to change the way things are going. I know that's mushy, but the best part about hitting rock bottom is that the only direction you can go is up. And we got to remember that if we're going to get to the next election. Every time we do one of these videos where we talk about Trudeau on his way out, or we say Trudeau's struggling, or Trudeau's going, or God, even my infamous April Fool's joke, people say we've had enough. It's not funny. We're past it. I get that. I get it. But we're going to have to realize that it might get a little worse before it gets better, but it's coming. You know, things are going to get better. The only way we can go is up. And I think we're getting there. It was crazy. I never had a problem with Karens during that time. I'm not sure why. Like-minded versus, or like-minded is what sets the universe. Yeah. The trucker saved me from depression. I thought I was all alone. The truckers gave me hope. Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody has their views. Yes, Colin. I love real people. Yes. And that's, you know, what's funny is that I was actually talking with another YouTuber that did arcade content in the States that I'm trying to organize coming on with his podcast, because he's trying to start one on politics now and get out of arcades. And I really liked his show. And one of the things I liked about him is that he's never filtered himself. He's always honest. And I told him that, you know, I typically like Trump's way of doing things. I like his ideas. I like how he's not afraid to say what he's thinking. And he said, well, I don't like Donald Trump. I said, that's cool. Because those used to be the times we lived in, where people could have a conversation, respect one another, and agree to disagree. And sometimes when you do those things, when you keep an open mind, sometimes you can learn a thing or two instead of always thinking that you know everything. I'm in my 40s, and I guarantee you, I might know more than I did in my 20s, but that doesn't make me a genius. I certainly don't know everything. Don't tell my wife that. I tell her I know everything. But even when I'm 90, if I make it there, I'll still be learning things I didn't know when I was 89. There's nothing wrong with hearing what people have to say, so long as you can agree to disagree. Again, in business school, I was told there's nothing you can do that's going to please people 100% of the time, and the person who tries to is a fool. But what we can do is find a neutral ground we can stand on. Because if you look at politics nowadays, it's all like it's like a sports team. Left, right, center. You know, it's we're voting for this guy, everybody's voting for that guy. These are the enemies, we're the good guys. You realize that when Pierre gets in, we're the bad guys. And the people like Rachel Gilmore, who shill for the Liberals, they're going to be the good guys all of a sudden because Pierre will do something that everybody hates, and then all of a sudden we're the bad guys. I don't mind being the bad guy sometimes. We all don't have to agree. What we need to do is agree, repel evil. It's not that hard. No, it's not. I didn't last as an elementary school teacher. My motto was, if the students didn't like the school from K to 3, Miss M had the skills, the patience, and the love to change them. There you go. The education system needs more children like that, or more children like that, more teachers like that. Teachers, I always say, are very underpaid for what they actually provide. It's questionable with the curriculum nowadays, but again, that's curriculum they're told to teach. I used to love when I went to school because teachers were real. I had a science teacher that I actually spoke to not too long ago. Changed my life. When I grew up in Winnipeg, I had attention deficit disorder, and in the 80s and 90s, Ritalin was just becoming a thing, like around the early 90s. People weren't really taking it. Parents were scared to give it to their kids. And I was kind of getting into those diagnoses by the time I was into high school. And we just moved to Calgary. And the people putting me in my courses misunderstood the programs I was in Winnipeg and put me in some higher science classes and things like that in Calgary. And I remember my teacher bringing me to the front. My teachers in Winnipeg were always lazy. They always called me stupid because, again, nobody really understood what ADD was, um, or how it worked. They just thought that you weren't interested, that you didn't care. They didn't physically say you're stupid, but they would treat me like I was stupid. They'd leave you behind. That was their job. They had to teach the rest of the class. They can't just focus on you. And I remember getting into my science class and it was near finals and the teacher pulled me forward at the end of class and everybody had left and he says, "Why aren't you able to get what I'm talking about?" And I said to him, "Because I'm stupid." And he actually got really heated and mad and he says, "Don't you ever say that in my class again." And he says, "You are not stupid." And he says, "And I'm going to show you how to get past this." And he took a lot of extra time to do that. And what do you know? I made it through. And that was around the time I was starting that medication. And I'm certainly not advocating for that medication because things have changed in that department as well. But the point being is that sometimes all you need is that one teacher who cares and your whole trajectory can change. But that's the same with any job. You need people who care in their jobs. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but when you go shopping, when you go to restaurants, when you go anywhere nowadays, does anybody really give a damn? I don't think so. Customer service has gone out the window. It's people just don't care anymore. They're there for their check and that's it. I know a teacher that tried to take early retirement because of the current curriculum. There's a lot of them. You remember the teacher who was wearing the big giant prosthetic boobs? That was all a scam to sue and take it easy and get out. I don't know if it was because of the curriculum. Are we talking about Trudeau here bringing charter schools in? Is that what we're looking at? I'm not sure. Have you seen the picture of a guy wearing a seatbelt in the park? Caption said to anybody wearing masks in their car that this is, yes, I have seen that picture. Yes. You know what's funny is I used to make fun of the guys who were driving in their cars wearing masks when it was just them. Like they'd be by themselves driving in the car wearing masks. And I used to say to my wife, I bet you they're single and they go home and wear a condom to bed. Like it's like, how could you be so paranoid? And you know what? Honestly, now that it's all done, I almost feel sorry for those guys because it's like, how badly did the government scare them? Think about that. Like, as much as you can look at those people, everybody always called them mask holes. But like you look at those people and you go, it was very easy, but God, how traumatized you must be from the government. And that's a very good sign of the damage that was done. You talk about the economy, you talk about jobs being lost, you talk about a lot of bad things happening during the pandemic. What about the people whose lives are forever changed, that will forever be paranoid because of the government? Like there's people out there that are literally scared of the world right now. Still, they're absolutely scared. Pandemic mentally broke many people. It's funny because we talk about so many things on this channel, and when I was talking to my realtor up near Spruce Grove, like her partner knew what I did for a living, but then she didn't have a clue, and she says, "Oh, you're on YouTube. What do you do?" And I just kind of chuckled and says, "Well, kind of talk about politics." And I didn't want to get into it because I know how Edmonton votes, and I know people's attitudes are a little bit different up there. But apparently, a lot of the smaller towns tend to go conservative. But nonetheless, people don't like talking politics. And as soon as you say, well, I got my start because, I made a book about the Freedom Convoy and making fun of Justin Trudeau, most people are happy about it, but some people go, oh, you're one of those people, right? All of a sudden, you're the bad guy. But that's what the government's done to people. That's how it goes. I know why they're pushing back in the UK. I'm not sure we'll do it here. It's already happening here, but we're not pushing back like they are in the UK, Cuba. I had a video on that this morning. Or not this morning, yesterday, sorry. I put out 2 videos yesterday. There was actually something to talk about during the summer. It's already flooding streets in Toronto. I saw somebody in the comments say it's in Windsor now. You know, they're blocking bridges. And I know there's some First Nations people mixed in there too. But regardless, it's starting to happen here. And again, with how easily, again, when I look at Calgary and their water situation, and I look at how many people are getting mad when you talk about it and saying, don't question the mayor. They're doing everything they can. They're sounding like people did during the pandemic. It just shocks me how easily people say, govern me harder, daddy, when it comes to the government. Please govern me harder. Give me some more. I don't think people are going to stand up to it. I really don't know. I don't know where it's going to go. You can't negotiate your way out of tyranny. No, you can't. Civil war is inevitable. It is coming. I'm not gonna lie. It's already here. Yeah, Doug Ford was. Come on, don't poop, people. Don't poop on the people. Don't be pooping on beaches, man. Like, and that's what I found funny. I was talking about that when we were playing games earlier on the stream. It's first they said it doesn't happen. Then they said everybody's racist. Then they said, okay, we've got some reports about it. Now you've got the premier saying, guys, stop it. Like, where does it end? I never thought in a million years I'd be spending my summer on YouTube talking about people taking poops outside. It's, you know what? Woke fools love punishment. Donald Trump said it the other day. There was a great video I saw on TikTok. I hate that you can't save them, but it's you had one side with Kamala Harris chuckling and her stupid little laugh and then saying, oh, if I'm woke, I guess I'm the wokest. I'm the wokest of all. And then you got Donald Trump who's saying, you know what woke means, right? It means you're a loser. And then he said flat out, everything woke turns to shit. And it's like, yes, that's why I like him. You know, like he's not afraid to call it out. I haven't heard anything about Venezuela. I haven't either. In fact, a lot of those stories are being blocked in Canada. I haven't either. Yeah, I was going to do a video about Kamala, but I've done enough talking about poop this summer and people pooping everywhere. I didn't want to talk about more poop with Kamala. So I'm just not going to. And part of the problem with this channel is because we focus on Canadian politics. Anytime I do an American story, it goes nowhere. And it's not about, like, people go, oh, so you're all about the views and the money. That's not what I'm getting at. When you put out a video like that, and it gets, say, 2,000 views, and your channel's used to seeing 30 or 40,000, then what happens the next time you upload a video about Canadian politics? YouTube doesn't know what to do with you. They go, well, your last video didn't do so hot, so we're not going to push you as much as the last time. So it'll take about 3 or 4 videos before people start getting notified again, before people start getting the videos put out in their feeds. So if I want it to get out to people, it's like, it's a shame because, you know, the other day I did a video about what was going on in the UK, but I had to fit it into Canada so that there was a reason to talk about it, so that it didn't get pushed out by YouTube and have a bigger problem. It's weird how YouTube works. It's a weird beast. And it's too bad that that's where the success is, or the exposure, if you want to do this for a living. I don't think anybody can stand Kamala Harris. If the law does not apply to all, it applies to none if it does. It's not legitimate. Well, I feel the same, but the problem is the jackboots show up if you want to question that, right? That's kind of the way the world works. But ladies and gents, we've been going for over 2 hours. We've been going hard on this stream. I do have to get content ready for you guys for tomorrow. So I'm going to start to wrap up the stream. First off, I want to thank everybody tonight who gave super chats, who gave their thanks on the stream. It's never necessary, but boy, it's appreciated. Rick, 2 $10 super chats. We had Mr. Meeseeks with a super sticker. Colin with his generous super chat tonight, guys. Thank you so much. I've kept you guys up late enough. Make sure to join me tomorrow night for Thursday night, Friday Night Fringe here on the channel. I'm pretty sure Mrs. Fringe will be joining me as well. Again, bear with us. We've only got the one microphone, 2 folks, 1 cup, or 1 mic. As the studio changes, once the house goes up for sale, I may have to change some things. So we may be able to find a newer desk to sit at where Mrs. Fringe can have a computer and a mic. But when I do move and build a new studio, I will be setting that up so that Mrs. Fringe can have her own spot where she joins me on the streams regularly. I'm looking forward to it. But join us tomorrow night instead of Friday for Thursday, Friday Night Fringe at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central here on the channel. I hope you guys had a good time in this stream. I had a blast with you guys as always tonight. I love chatting with my community. Thank you to everybody who chimed in. Roman Patriot, thank you for your words tonight. I really appreciate you. I see you. Thank you for spending your time here. For everybody else, I hope you have a great rest of your week. I hope you enjoy tomorrow. Hope to see you in tomorrow night's live stream. If I don't, make sure to check out the channel regularly. I will have videos dropping on the norm. And make sure to leave a thumbs up or a comment because most of the time, YouTube likes pushing them down. We need them out there. I hope you guys like this and have a great sleep. If you're not sleeping, if you're working, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Ladies and gentlemen, look after each other. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.